Hey, Kristen, how's it tracking?
With Carvana Value Tracker.
What else?
Oh, it's tracking. In fact, Value Surge Alert trucks up 2.5%. Vans down 1.7%.
Just as predicted.
Mm-hmm.
So, we gonna...
I don't know. Could sell, could hold.
The power to always know our car's worth.
Exhilarating, isn't it?
Tracking.
Always know your car's worth with Carvana Value Tracker.
This was one of the first episodes I ever made on the podcast, just short of 3 years ago. And of course, it was an episode on the FA Cup. It is full with stats and facts and stories and teams and things which have happened from over the years when the FA Cup very first started all of those years ago. And as we are approaching that very special part of a season where it's the semi-finals and the finals of the FA Cup, I thought I would bring it back up to the top of the podcast feed so you can have a listen to it. So, here you go. Here was me recording an episode on the FA Cup nearly 3 years ago. Hello and welcome to the Football for Kids podcast with me, Darren Rees. This is the podcast where you will hear stories, facts and lots of other things from the world of football. On this episode, we're going to be talking about the FA Cup. It's one of the best football tournaments in the whole world. It's shown on the TV in America, Australia, Brazil, Canada, France, India and lots of other countries. Over the years, the FA Cup has been won by 44 different teams. Arsenal have won the competition more than any other team. They've been in 21 FA Cup finals and they've won it 14 times. Manchester United have been in 20 finals and they've won it 12 times. And Chelsea, they've been in 16 finals and they've won it 8 times. The FA Cup is a football tournament which started in England 151 years ago. It happens every single year, and what's brilliant about it is that it gives the really small teams the opportunity to play the really big teams. It also gives the small teams a chance to earn money for their club and be on the telly. It's a really exciting competition, but it's also really important. There's something magical about the FA Cup. I'm not quite sure what it is, but amazing things happen every year. I'll tell you about the most goals in an FA Cup game in a moment. You won't believe how many one team scored in a single match. First of all, you might not have heard of it before. If you're not too sure what it is, lots and lots of teams who are known as non-league and lower league teams play each other in the opening rounds of the FA Cup competition. You've probably got a team who are local to you who have been in the competition and will be in the next one. The different teams play each other and whoever wins goes through to the next round. Eventually, it gets to the third round and teams from the Championship and the Premier League enter the competition. To decide which teams are going to play each other, every team is given a number which is on a ball. Someone reaches into a pot and takes a ball out. Then, someone else takes another ball out of a different pot. They match the numbers up and announce which teams will be playing each other. I think the third round of the FA Cup is the best because it's where the small football teams get to play the big football teams like Manchester United, Manchester City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea and all the other big clubs in the Premier League. Sometimes the very small football teams beat the big teams. In 2003, Shrewsbury Town, who were at the bottom of the third league, played Everton, who were in the top half of the Premier League. If the leagues were one big table, Everton would have been 85 places above Shrewsbury. You might have heard of a player called Wayne Rooney. Rooney was amazing. He was playing for Everton in that game. Shrewsbury won the game 2-1 and they knocked Everton out of the FA Cup. There's been lots of really small teams who have played really big teams over the years, but it's the magical things which happen every year which make it exciting. Now, I said about the most goals scored in an FA Cup game. Have a guess what number that might be. Well, if you've got this one right, you've really done well. So then, Preston North End. They once played Hyde in the FA Cup And the score was, drumroll please, 26-0 to Preston. 26-0! The biggest win for an away team was Nottingham Forest beating Clapton, and they won 14-0. Penalty shootouts happen a lot in the FA Cup, and the longest ever penalty shootout in the competition was between Tunbridge Wells and Littlehampton. Each team ended up taking 20 penalties each. The result was 16-15 to Tunbridge Wells. That is a long old penalty shootout. The fastest goal ever scored in the FA Cup was by a player called Gareth Morris, and it took him 4 seconds to score. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's pretty quick. And lastly, the fastest ever hat-trick in the FA Cup was by a player called Andy Locke. It took him 2 minutes and 20 seconds to score the 3 goals. That's pretty quick too. The youngest player to play in the FA Cup was a young lad called Sandy Orford. He was just 15 years old. How amazing is that? Anyway, back to how it works. Different teams keep playing each other and the winners go through to the next stage of the competition. This keeps happening until there's only 2 teams left and you get your final. The final is held at Wembley Stadium. The final of the FA Cup is always sold out. In fact, it's believed that many years ago, all the way back in 1923, the FA Cup final at Wembley had 300,000 people there. That's a lot of people. For many years now, many football fans have travelled around the country and around the world to watch the matches in the FA Cup. The King of England, the Queen of England and the Princes of England have all been at Wembley Stadium for the FA Cup finals. The FA Cup trophy is presented to the winners by somebody in the royal box. The King, Queen and Princes of England have all presented the trophy to the winners of a competition. The winners of the FA Cup get to keep it for a few months in their trophy cabinet. They have to give it back though, ready for the next winners. Unless, of course, they win it again. A bit like Arsenal did. They won the FA Cup 2 years in a row, 2 different times. Did you know that the original FA Cup trophy was stolen by a thief and nobody ever found it? Another trophy was made to look exactly the same though. The FA Cup is a tournament that all teams love playing in and fans love watching. It's magical, exciting, and you never know what's going to happen. I hope you've enjoyed hearing about the FA Cup and that you've learnt lots about the competition. If you know somebody who loves football, then please tell them about Football for Kids. Whether you're playing football soon, watching it pitchside, or on the telly, I hope you enjoy the game. See you next time.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/kidsandfamily. Just go to Indeed.com/kidsandfamily right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.